Every club. Every day. The Global Sports Podcast Network.
Hello and welcome back to the Daily Southampton, part of the Global Sports Podcast Network. My name is Greg Elliott and I am, as always, joined by my good friend, Zach Ingofinch. How you doing, Zach?
Yeah, not too bad, mate. And it's been long enough from a game that I'm not completely nutty depressed. Looking forward to the next game, despite the fact we're probably going to get battered. I'm in the space that you're at a little bit, so let's talk about a really depressing topic. But isn't that that's a lie? That's a lie. It's not depressing.
Look, I'm taking the positive stance, Zach. We're looking forward to more enjoyable times. At this point, even Opta are saying we have a 100% chance of relegation. It is clear and obvious to anyone looking in.
Have we checked
the
latest percentage chance of us staying up? Do you want me to do that in the background?
Well, Zach, it said greater than 99.9 is the official line, but I did see that they ran 10,000 supercomputer simulations, and in none of them did we stay up. So,
oh no! You seen the betting on? Oh, one to 1,000.
Yeah,
is the odds checker. Wow, we are. No, what's the letter? Sorry.
Yeah,
that's just wow.
And so we have reached the acceptance part of our grieving process from our time in the Premier League. And we're going to try and have a little look forward to our time in the Championship and have a little think about who we think might stay and how big of a job JURIC or whoever may have as part of the rebuilding process. So I guess let's start with that elephant in the room. About 20 minutes before recording, we both sent each other the same article from the Echo from George Rees-Julian, claiming that the plan is for Southampton to fire JURIC at the end of the season.
It's really funny because we were talking about what to do today. Because obviously we've got it's a wildcard day. We're slowly building and creeping our way back to match day again. And we were thinking, what should we do? We had a nice room 101 yesterday. I got some research on the go for an episode probably tomorrow. And we were like, why don't we talk about, the acceptance that we're probably going to be relegated and what's going to happen going forward, like if we keep JURIC or not. And then it's like the fates aligned when they gave us this beautiful article to let us know, yeah, it's probably going to happen.
Yeah, but also it's hardly like shock take journalism.
Yeah, no, you're right. It's hey, this guy who's won like one game out of 11 or something.
Yeah,
it's going to be difficult.
So all right, I think that this article. I think that before this article was published, that this was absolutely the case, and I think that there was a slim to zero chance of JURIC being our manager next season. Are you in that same boat?
I tried to give him the benefit of the doubt whilst he looked like he was going to be able to change some stuff, right? And again, first couple of games felt slightly more positive, but the fact that I seem to be more and more confused watching the team means that unfortunately we have fulfilled the prophecy of the last time we went down, where we have hired another manager who doesn't really have a clue. But unlike the Nathan Jones vitriol, it feels very much like the Sellers march towards despair, where we've had that one positive result. We've got a win. Everything else kind of feels silly, and it feels like a lot of the stuff is silly. And if you've not listened to, I think it was our last post-match review where, I don't know, we shared some feelings and we looked over the opinion of a Roma fan on JURIC, and the fact that it lines up almost identical to what we're struggling with now is not good reading.
It's not a surprise, is it?
So yeah, I am under no surprise. I am not devastated. I don't think that everyone has warmed to him as much. I don't think that's really his fault. I don't think I don't think anyone, unless all of a sudden he saved us, right? Unless all of a sudden we're getting wins across the board. I don't think anyone that ever took that job was ever going to have. It feels very much No, I think we all had more of an affinity for Sparky at this point. I mean, arguably kept us up. So, it's but yeah, I will wish him no ill will, but I do not think that he is the correct decision to bring us into the championship based off of what we've seen so far and his inability to be tactically flexible when it
Yeah.
is required.
I agree. I think that his style of play is probably more suited to the Championship than the Premier League. I don't think that's a good enough reason to keep him in charge. To immediately throw you under the bus with the tough question, then, Zach, with the obvious answer looming, I suppose, who's next?
Who shall replace him? Everyone says Danny Roll. Why? He was linked with us previously because Southampton. And we love to bring basically anyone that's had any affiliation back to us, apart from anyone in the Sports Republic era, unfortunately for them, which says a lot. But yeah, I understand. And apparently, take this with a pinch of salt because it is the Sun. But they were saying that, he apparently, obviously, he worked, I guess, alongside Johannes Spors at Leipzig at one point. So there's like history there. The club apparently went in for him beforehand. There was a lot of hushed conversations around that. They didn't want to pay compensation because
Well,
I
we've
get it.
shown that in the past as well with
Yeah,
Swansea.
we've done this before.
Got a
On
track
top of
record.
that, they called up their mate who was available this time round when they fired a manager, and they've decided to get. So yeah, I wouldn't really be surprised, and I don't think it would be that hard to tempt him away from Sheffield Wednesday, and I don't think it would be
Okay,
that
the hard
difficult.
question though, Zach, is he the man for the job?
I think he's the man that has been selected. I do not know who the man is for this job because, as we've told you before, and as we've kind of discussed, the current approach of a Sports Republic hiring and a Sports Republic sort of decision making when it comes to the football is to spin the wheel of different exciting tactics that you would use in Football Manager, throw a dart, and then find a cheap manager associated with that style of football, and
Yeah,
that then replaces whatever the heck the Southampton way used to be.
yeah.
So the reason that I think that he might be right is because if you hire a manager who have worked before, who has worked for you before or worked with you in some capacity, there is a level of trust, there is a level of understanding. So I think it makes more sense to me now than it would have when Spores was not our technical director, if that
Okay,
makes sense.
yeah. Well, it won't surprise you, Zach, to know that I have an opinion.
Good.
And
Sam
we will
Allardyce
get to
Hoofball,
that.
can't wait.
Um, I don't know about that. But we will come to my opinion specifically on Danny Roll after the break.
Your body is unique. And Global Sports Podcast Network has partnered with Bioniq, the world's most personalised supplements. Bioniq provide 100% tailor-made supplements designed to deliver precisely what your body needs at exactly the right levels to optimise your health. No guessing. So click the link in the show notes. Use the code GSPN2025 for 40% off your first month's subscription. Bioniq. Don't settle for off-the-shelf solutions made for just anybody. Get what's right for you right now. Your body is unique.
Okay, and we're back. So yeah, I have an opinion on Danny Roll. And I don't know if it's going to be a popular opinion, but I'm going with it anyway. I think he is a fine selection for the championship, right? But I think it puts us back to exactly square one after that. Like, okay, we're going to be facing, frankly, a monumental rebuild at the end of the season, which I'm sure we'll come on to, sort of who we think may stay and may go. But there's going to be big changes. And it's going to be a very fresh squad. Yes, he's doing well with Sheffield Wednesday on a shoestring budget. Can he repeat that? I don't know. If he does, is it going to be enough to actually get us promoted season one? I don't know. Possibly, but also I don't think it's going to be as clear cut as that. If we stay down, are we going to be able to use that time to build properly? I mean, do we trust the scouting network of Sports Republic to do that? Frankly, no. And then, either that first year or at least that second year, that's when the clock's ticking on those parachute payments. and we need to go up. And when we do go up, is Danny Roll the man to take us on to Premier League safety? Well, I see no proof that that is the case. He is another unproven quantity, and we are back to square one. Now, I am no expert. I have watched a grand total of 0 Sheffield Wednesday games this season. I don't know. Hopefully, he seems to be a slightly more pragmatic manager than we've seen for the rest of us this season, and that would be a step in the right direction. But it's still an unproven quantity. So I don't think that. I still think it's the decision they'll make. I don't necessarily think it's the right decision.
The problem is, who is a proven Premier League quality manager that at this point we could get in, right? Because the thing is that Leeds have managed to do that. You know, Burnley have managed to do that, not with Vince and company, but they have this time round with Scott Parker. There have been situations where other teams have
I don't know
taken.
if you could call Scott Parker a proven quality Premier League manager. If I'm honest, mate, that's a stretch. But okay,
it's a bit of a stretch. But my point is, the problem is that we're getting managers who have had their first season of Premier League football ever with us, right? We had that with Jones, we had that with Sellis, we had that with JURIC now, Russell Martin now. The problem is that, we don't want to get in one of these sort of mid-level interim managers anymore, because that's a problem. I guess it's finding the thing is I also don't see them having I guess the guts like we did in the Pochettino era, which was get rid of Adkins, because that killed almost all of us, but proved to be tactically astute. And as much as there was no time for sentiment, it ended up being the right decision. But there's also been times we've brought in people like Hasenhüttl, and it's worked out pretty well as it can be for the time. I think our problem stems down to trusting the decisions that are currently made by the ownership, right?
Yeah.
You don't trust Sports Republic to make good footballing decisions. I don't. We're going to have to see what happens with Spores and see if that works out. If the football is put into his basket. If I remember rightly, Kraft has also stepped down now from anything to do with Southampton Football Club. So we're slowly getting rid of the people that don't know anything, trying to make decisions about something that they don't know, which is the perfect way to run, much better way to run any business. Like, again, I know nothing about pickles, so why would I work in a pickle factory? Baffling. Anywho, that's a weird analogy. But
just cucumbers and vinegar, mate. It can't be that
hard. But it's one of those situations where there is no, I guess, correct answer. The thing is although he's not a proven Premier League manager, he has worked in the Premier League in the club previously, and a lot of people referred to him as the quote-unquote brains behind Hasenhüttl, because when he left, I think, to go and work as assistant coach for Bayern Munich, right, was where he went to before he ended up getting this gig now. When he went off to do that,
it's a good CV for someone not at that top point of actually being in charge at the top level.
Correct, and I guess you could.
Right. Maybe it's
you
the
could
best.
You could put some of the sort of decisions made afterwards due to the fact of the lack of funding, the Gal ownership, sort of having a good CEO with no money, I guess, potentially. But I don't know if it's necessarily him that turned the results not in Hasenhüttl's way, or it was a combination of many things. We got found out. Whatever happened. But it seems like a logical step for them to put their hands up and go, hey, maybe we should move back to a system that worked previously. Not even a system, but move back to someone who has worked previously and has an affinity with the club.
Yeah.
And I think we'll probably be able to afford the compensation. I think he might be interested in a move. But also, all of these things are if and buts. The way that some people are already talking about it is if it's like a signed on the dotted line deal. We don't know if all of a sudden we get to the summer and they don't make the money that they want to off of players. We've already got players that are probably going to leave on freeze that we don't want to leave on freeze. And then they decide, well, actually, it's cheaper to keep JURIC. We don't need to pay any compensation. We just carry on paying his wages. So that's the caveat, is that it is a nice idea. I understand why everyone thinks that. I would kind of hope to be interesting to see someone build something like that. If it gets to a point we get promoted again, I still think we came up too early. Maybe at that point we don't make the same decision where if the results in the Premier League are terrible in 2 years' time for like half of the season, we then wait to fire him and do the same thing again. All you can hope is that we learn from the mistakes. And I think that it wouldn't be the worst thing in the world if we have a manager who has got experience with the club, who actually will get on behind the scenes with everybody and hopefully theoretically build something new. Because I do feel sorry for JURIC inheriting a bunch of squad, and there is an argument that he has reinvigorated some of the players.
And if Google AI is to be believed, Danny Rolls' management style is exactly what I've been calling out for, to be fair, a pragmatic approach based off of player development and player fitness that's versatile and tactically astute. And anyone who has listened to my video essay on philosophies in football might feel that tactically diverse is exactly what I want from a football manager. So
also known as how Pep Guardiola killed football. We reran it the other day when we were all unfortunately out sick. It was very, very good. I enjoyed listening back to it myself.
Okie doke. After the break, I think we'll move on from the manager, Zach, and we'll have a little look through our squad quickly.
Who will be here?
And derive the rather short list of who we think will still be with us come the inevitable championship season. But first, a message from our partners at Zencastr. Here at the Global Sports Podcast Network, we spent a lot of time selecting our delivery platform. Zencastr came out the clear winner, with 4K video recording from your phone and AI editing that automatically removes all those ums and ahs. It's super easy to start a podcast that sounds great and is delivered efficiently. If you're ready to tell your story, check out the link in the show description to learn more about Zencastr. Okay, and we're back. I guess, Zach, let's start at the back and work our way forward. Seems like the logical way for me to go. Ramsdale is not going to be at the club as a championship team.
No, we make some money back on him. Probably the money we spent on him. Happy days. We'll end up with Bazunu and Lumley.
As much as I love Aaron Ramsdale and would love to see him annihilate the championship for a season, there's a 0% chance we're going to be willing to pay his wages, and I think there's as much of a chance that he's going to want to stay. So, yeah.
Look, he's going to be
there.
there.
Cheers for getting some money back. No harm, no foul.
He needs to help another team like Leeds stay up, or Burnley.
Yeah,
I know there's talk of Newcastle, but let's be real. Unless he wants to play second fiddle to someone, he's probably going to end up at that's more of a jest, and it's a mean jest on the amount of teams he's relegated. But it's not his fault. It's just
see him go into like West Ham or Crystal Palace,
maybe a Newcastle. There were rumours about, but yeah, he's gone. Bazunu's going to come back off loan, and he's going to be one of our goalkeepers. Lumley will probably be one of our goalkeepers. Do you see Alex McCarthy get another season? He's only had a year this year, and it's not exactly like he's shone himself in glory as a...
No, he's about 83. You can give it up, old man. It's
fine servant. I still remember.
Funny, but I feel like he's actually about our age, so maybe shot fired.
You forget he was signed as sort of a backup anyway, if I remember rightly. He was signed as a backup from Palace, if I get my memory correct. But yeah, so goalkeepers wise, those are the two we've got remaining. Obviously, we probably need to shore that up.
Yeah,
where that's coming from, who knows?
Who knows? Or maybe one of the nipper from the under-21s. Didn't we send him out on loan? I think I don't know. I'm not familiar enough with the youth system, I'm afraid.
We should be. It's probably going to be where all our players come from next season, though.
Yeah. And then the back line, Walker Peters is going to go on a free. It's the end of his contract.
Oh, the pain. I remember watching his debut. I'm so sad. What a servant, anyway.
Jan Bednarek got offered a move to Roma in January and turned it down.
So that means, for me, he doesn't want to move out of Southampton. He said he's settled here. He'll probably stay here forever at this point. He wants to retire here. He's not too bothered. I think at this point, it's a family thing, right? Like, you're a dad, you've got a family. You know what it's like. You don't want to disrupt your whole family for the sake of something.
Yeah, I can see that. I'd be happy with that. I like NAB. Yeah. I think he's played really well this season, despite the positions he's been put in by
I still think
managers, players around him.
when he first started, there was a lot of controversy around, like, they wouldn't play him. He kind of sat in the under-21s for a bit, and then they started playing him, and he always played solid, and he did well right up until he had his little wobble. He had his little wobble, and he's come back and learned the grass isn't always greener. So by having that lesson, I think, and learning it, it's worked out quite well for him. So yeah, I wouldn't
Will
see
he
him
be
going.
good enough for us to be a competitive team in the Championship to go up? Yes. Will he still be our first choice centre back if we make it back to the Premier League? Probably not. I think that's the
Not at
point
that point.
he's at.
That's 2 years on, right?
Yeah.
Like, just that's if we make it back up after the first season, which is,
Or
I
yeah,
think it's going to be harder this time round, if I'm totally honest.
it's definitely going to be hard. Okay. Harwood Bellis got a new
There's
agent last week.
already rumours that he's out the door. He wants to be an England international, and he's not going to do that in the Championship.
Yeah.
I would like to see him stay, I guess. I do like Harwood Bellis. I think he's the only one that's he cares a lot, but you can still see that he's quite young.
Yeah.
You can see that in sort of, I guess, the passion, and the passion goes two ways, right? But I could see him being picked up by basically anyone else. Wouldn't be surprised if he ends up going to Palace or a team like that, right? As a replacement or anything like that. You know, somewhere where I think he's probably deserving of.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised. And then
Yeah, a mid to bottom table Premier League team will probably come in and he will do a job there.
Yep.
And it's a shame because I feel like
It is
if
a
we'd have
shame.
done well this season and stayed up, he might have gone on to be a future club captain. So
Yeah, devastating, but it's just unfortunately how the cookie crumbles.
Bella Kotchap,
I feel
he's
like he's wanted to leave forever, and I don't think he
got
was
some
going to want
Premier
to
League
see now.
minutes now. So if an offer comes in, he's probably gone, right? As simple as that.
I wouldn't blame him in the slightest, and I know, again, like I became a weird de facto like Bella Kotchap watch guy for a while, right? And I think it's just because I kept mentioning it because I'm the one that spends significantly more time on social media than you, because it's one of the benefits. I say benefits, drawbacks of not having kids. I get far more free time to sit on social media than I'd like. I think that he's been hard done by. Maybe his attitude hasn't helped either, but I also don't see him wanting to stay here any longer. I don't think that he's massively got a tie to the town or the people or anything else. So
Just
why
a
would he
stepping
stay?
stone.
Yeah,
Jack
always has been.
Stevens.
He's getting on a bit now, right? But I could see him staying and wanting to prove himself. He cares about the club, regardless of.
I feel like our first choice centre backs or our sort of 4 squad depth centre backs next season is probably Jack Stevens, Jan Bednarek, Ronnie Edwards, and Nathan Wood.
Yep.
I don't see that being an area where they try to invest in because I think there are going to be other gaps. I presume Wellington will stay.
You'd like to think so. Won't be, unless he's caught the eye. I don't think he's quite caught the eye of teams the way that like Alcaraz did or anything like that. So
yeah, Yuki rumours that he is not thinking about it to the end of the season. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing.
I feel bad for him a little bit, but also it's like you can tell a lot of these people have already got their heads out the door, sort of thing.
Yeah. Manning and Bree, I don't know. I think they'll probably stay, right? I don't see offers coming in for them. And I think that we know that they'll do a job for us in the Championship.
Unless Russell Martin suddenly starts heading up a Championship team and wants to take Manning, I don't see that happening, and I think Bree would perfectly be a good enough Championship right back or right wing back for us. And I emphasise Championship because he's done well this season in the weird roles that he's been put in, but
Yeah,
I wouldn't want to rely on him forever.
yeah.
So yeah, so that's our.
That's
that everyone.
Wait,
hang on. Why Larios? He's still going to be here in the medical room?
Oh yeah, he played
Will-
some football.
Will we
He played
see
in the under-21s.
45 minutes? Are we going to see his second debut, like
Maybe.
5 years after his first?
Look, he was promising. I could see him doing a job as a squad player in the Championship and building back up to fitness and maybe becoming a really good wing back.
Who knows?
Who knows? If he can stay fit, that's going to be the struggle when you've been out that long.
Very much so.
Midfield, this is one of the points of concern, right? Matty Fernandez is probably gone, right?
I was hoping that no one would notice him, but people are starting to notice him, and it's making me sad. I hate it because I feel like it's going to be like, of all clubs, like a Liverpool, right? They're going to pick him up, and it's going to be like another Carvalho where he just doesn't play, and then like goes out on loan for half a season at like Blackpool or something stupid.
I actually see a future where he stays.
I hope so. I really hope
But
so.
I don't know. There's going to be some tasty offers for him, I think, and it might just be too much to turn down. But I can see a future where he stays and we effectively build the team around him because he has been out and out our best player this season by quite a stretch, and the most consistent as well. Aribo,
I think he's gone. If I'm totally honest,
yeah,
I don't know where, but I just have a feeling that he would want to play or move back or onto bigger things, right?
2 relegations and a struggle to get in the team when he was in the Championship. It's not, yeah.
It's a
I
lot of
don't see a
turmoil to
lot of
part with.
history keeping him here from his perspective. I would like to see him stay, but again, yeah, I agree. Flynn Downs
Wow,
kicked off in January because he didn't get a move. So
which is insane considering we purchased him. And again, I do feel a lot of that is when you have been a player that has been sent off and on loan constantly throughout your career. If something doesn't work out in your favour, you're able to just kind of drop it, right? And I kind of
yeah,
feel like that's what his opinion was. And I understand he's had history of Ipswich and stuff previously, but yeah, are they going to put an offer in? Maybe.
I don't
Would
know.
we accept it in the summer? Maybe.
Would
Would
he
we
go
want to
in
keep an unhappy
the
player?
Championship as well? I don't know.
Would we want to keep an unhappy player? Does he going to feel an affinity to Southampton? Was he brought in as the talisman to the Russell Martin way of football? Yeah.
Will he be more suited because he's quite a versatile player though? And if we do change managers, he would probably be more suited to a Danny Roll team than a JURIC team. So there's
Yeah,
that.
but
There's a lot of
it
moving parts.
depends.
That's a definite maybe for me.
Yeah, that
Could
is
go either
a
way.
you could roll the dice, and I wouldn't be surprised either way.
Yeah. Ugo Chukwu is obviously going to go back to Chelsea. He's not going to sign permanently for us because
No.
why would he? Who else in the midfield? Adam Lallana, presumably going to retire into permanent cryo freeze. Maybe
Who?
go on and be Danny Roll's assistant.
Who? I know that sounds bad. I was excited a little bit.
Gosh,
I was
it's a
kind of
bit.
felt a bit. I'm still angry again. I'm still angry about the fact that all he did when he left was give us a spread in the Echo, and I now kind of feel like we're being robbed out of a living. Because it's great that he gives a bit of flair, but if you give a bit of flair for 5 minutes of a game every 5 or 6 games, everyone kind of, how many minutes has he had? I remember when we brought Theo Walcott in, and I thought he didn't play a lot, and then I look back and realise that he played quite a lot considering his age, and Lallana's just, what is the point? Like, there is absolutely no point keeping a player who's going to play 5 collective minutes over the space of 10 games. Yes, the experience might be good. Yes, it might be good to have that level ahead. Are we going to be able to afford to keep that on the bench? Probably not.
No.
Should we? Probably not.
Yeah, I don't think he'll stay as a player in the Championship. If he
No.
stays amongst the club, fair enough. Great, good for him. I appreciate that. I respect that. That's fine. I don't see it being in a playing capacity. Again, it's another position though where we do have some, promise potentially coming back. If it is true and Danny Roll does take over, Shea Charles is going to slot straight into that system with no issue. Coming back off loan, great. Yeah, there's some hope.
Yeah,
If
I
we can
agree.
if we can keep Matty Fernandez and Shea Charles, that is 2/3 of a very solid midfield. If
I
Flynn
also,
Downs sticks around and buys in as well, that is a top level Championship midfield
yeah,
without a lot of work.
we're going to get there. But like one of the players, above him that's going to come back off of loan, who's been doing pretty well. Quite, other than a time out in injury, he's played in European leagues, which
Sammy
isn't anything I could play as, but it's just, it's a dozy.
yeah,
He's been a Anderlecht to good Belgian team that been up there in there. They've always historically been up there in sort of the top of that league. Yes, it's not a hard league to get to the top of. However,
yeah. Right, we are rapidly running out of time. So instead of going player through player through the front line, I'm instead going to ask Zach, do you see any of our front players, wingers or strikers staying? And/or do you want any of them to stay?
Paul goes. I wish him well. I hope he goes back to being top scorer in the Belgian league. I love him dearly. As a guy, I think he's really cool. It's really nice when we do dances and we sing all that jazz. It's just not cut out. So Cameron Archer, yes, please. Let's keep him. Let's actually give him service. Let's see him start scoring goals. He will
100%.
tear it up in the Championship. Sulemana, I would like to see him retain the level of form and desire and drive he has now.
I think
However,
he's gone.
part of that is down to JURIC. I feel like he is gone. I agree with you. Ross Stewart is still going to be here while they reconstruct his knees out of, I don't know, sandpaper again. We'll find out. I guess you forgot about him as
Or is
well.
his contract up?
No idea.
I think his contract might be up in the summer.
That would be
I don't know if
interesting.
we would renew that.
We would not renew that in a heartbeat. Does Armour come back? Probably. I don't think he's been lighting up West Brom.
No.
You know, he would probably want that opportunity to do really, really well for us again.
Tyler Diblin. Well, I think we've spoken about it at length. I think that a year in the Championship would be best for his career.
I want him
and
to stay.
Hopefully he stays.
The problem is modern football.
Chances are a big offer comes in and takes him. But
modern football, mate.
Front three of Armour, Diblin and Archer sounds a lot scarier in the Championship than it does in the Premier League for our opposition, as opposed to the Premier League where it would sound a little bit scary for us. I think that's just about it. Yeah, Sammy Edozie to come back. Look, I'm feeling a bit more optimistic about it than I was.
It's not as bad
as
we think. We forget we've got 2 players on loan currently tearing up the Championship in Edwards and Shea Charles. We've got Edozie doing it right. Bazunu was bad at the beginning of his loan spell because he's been out for like a year, but he's come back and I think he's putting in some good work. So it's not as bad as it could be, and I think a lot of people are scared.
What? You're hearing it here first. 25-26 Championship League winners. Southampton.
Oh no,
here we
it's
come.
going to be the same thing. I don't know, Greg. Greg, the Championship's better.
Championship, ole, ole, ole. All right, well, on those eternally, maybe delusionally optimistic tones, we will wrap up and call it a day. We'll be back tomorrow with some more Saints joy. And until then, give us a message on all of the socials. Let us know. Do you think we're coming straight back up? Do you think it's going to be much more difficult? Are we going to keep hold of any of our players? Let us know. And we will see you tomorrow.
Every club, every day. The Global Sports Podcast Network.